That was an interesting bump that we had right there. Not my fault that time. I think StreamYards did its own thing with the countdown. So, anyway. Okay. Try that second time. Always a good thing to have tabs muted too, so you don't hear yourself. So, anyway, thank you all for being here tonight. That's going to come through here as the program goes along. Another exciting week of football talk in the Southeastern Conference this week, and glad it's Friday night and tomorrow's Saturday, and we'll have some interesting games tomorrow that we'll look forward to later in the show, and we'll look back at last week's action, which is what we usually do here. And as always, we have our special guest who also picks the games with us. Just the winners, no points, no special things, just picking among friends here tonight. So you know the format. We'll do a little bit of all of it, have some fun with football, focus on college football, but there may be some pros thrown in, might be some other interesting things that we've seen over the years. You never know. We stay flexible, but hey, it's the favorite time of the week for me, which is this football stream. So hey, from Fortnite to football, hey, it's football time, folks. If you're in Tennessee, they say football time in Tennessee, but I don't think our guest tonight would really like that saying because he does not like Tennessee. So I would say. But hey, with that, I'm going to go ahead and start to introduce our wonderful guest tonight. If you're around Twitter anywhere, be careful because he's always watching. He's full of wit, wisdom, and he's always watching, like Roz from Monsters Inc., because what you say will be seen. He will do it. He's got a very dry wit, but I love the sense of humor, but he won't call it like he sees it. So I'll be interested to see how we do tonight and how things go, and expect nothing less than the best from this guy because he calls it like he sees it. One of the few Georgia Bulldog fans this Florida Gator likes, but he has my respect because he's been around and he's a darn good guy. Without further ado, I'll bring him on in. Here's Gen X. Hey, Jen.
Hey.
How are you tonight?
Good.
I like your avatar.
It is a work of art.
Yes. It's kind of appropriate that I'm the Pilly knockoff and you're the gilded guy.
I mean, it is our. I'd say we got more wins with these two characters than other characters. Even though people are like, yeah, we're not going to play this match, but y'all go ahead.
Yeah, everybody assumes that with the big orange light bulb that we're automatically targets, but we've won with them too.
I've won more of the character than I lost.
I'll tell you, I also like the blue banana squad too. People love to hate on the blue banana squad.
That one match, all four of us had it, and we just annihilated anyone and everyone. Like, yeah. I think the lowest kill count was 8 on one person. I got like 13. Like, everybody got like so many people. We just went in there and just tore things up.
Oh, you know that, and the people we played against had to hate it too.
They reported us
because, hey, we can't help it that we're the good bananas.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Hey, you never know. But hey, if you're jealous, you got to beat us. Kind of like football, got to do it on the field.
Hey, even bad bananas become banana bread.
There you go. Hey. Always can save them, like oranges. Bad oranges? Well, I don't know. I guess oranges pretty much go bad. Well, let me say hello in the chat real quick. We got Small Time Republic. Hey, Small Time Republic. Glad you're here tonight. Yeah, I think this game of the week is going to be interesting for you because, Jen, I don't know if you met Small Time Republic, but he's an Auburn fan, so it will be.
Oh, yeah, that's gonna be a good one.
Yeah. I mean, the long history of that, I can't wait to get into that a little bit later today. So it's just a fascinating series when you really look at how long it's been played and, just the things that have happened, the great coaches over the years and stuff.
Oh, my of recent years favorite Auburn game that I've seen, because I'll watch Auburn when Georgia's not on and everything, but my favorite one is it had to been maybe 3 years ago. It looked like Alabama was going to win the game, and Alabama screwed up the extra point. It got, I think, deflected, and he came up short, and Auburn guy was in the end zone, gets it, runs it all the way back for a touchdown. Auburn wins, and I'm like out of my chair, and I'm like, what? I was like,
I was at my in-laws with that game, and that was just, it was an extra point from about 50 yards, 45, 50. It was a longer extra,
it was about 45.
Longer field goal attempt.
45,
and I've never seen anybody just stick a player under the goalpost like that.
Yeah,
I've noticed it since then.
Yeah, when they anytime any team is kicking from at least the 35 or 45 or more, there is the opposing team will have a person in the end zone, and the off chance that it's shorted, or either in the end zone or at least up to the 10-yard line, just in that general area. That way they can run it back, just like that Auburn victory. That was the perfect storm of, hey, they came up short, I got it, I ran it back. It's rare when you see them.
Because I'd never thought about that really as much of a strategy till after that game when that happened, because when you're in a field goal unit out there, you're not prepared for somebody to return a ball. Like a punt formation, you have your routes down and you have your lanes and everything, but in a field goal setup, you're not set up for that. And you get a fast guy with that much open space to get around the big lineman, because usually your line has got your bigger players, not necessarily your fast guys. So it seems it was pretty ingenious they did that game. So I did the look on Saban's face though afterwards. It's like,
oh, dude, he is he was mad, but he was impressed.
Yeah. I think as one time he got out coached with there, and that kind of probably did a bit for him. So let me say hey to UK Beavers, or UK Living. Sorry, go Beavers. Yep.
I mean,
Oregon State. Hey, Oregon State Beavers are a friend of the channel. Oh God. And then the Mitzvah comes in with that. The good old Morehead State Eagles out of Tennessee. And say hi to our friend CJ.
I always just hear Morehead said out loud. It's rare when I see it like typed up, and then when I see it, I'm like, it seems weird when it's written out. But
well, Jen, you want to hear something even stranger? If we still had the hats, we could take a picture of it. On one side, we'd have the Oregon State Beavers, and on the other side, we'd have Morehead State side by side. So we had hats like that years ago. So it's always been a joke with us here. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Jen. I know I kind of teased a little bit about how you're like the guy out there on Twitter with some really, really crazy memes and stuff like that. How'd you get in that? Or, were you gaming? Just tell us a bit about yourself and what you do.
Well, I mean, I started out in the shadows making memes, maybe having some unpopular opinions that might upset others, and but that's usually just my personality, where I'm straight to the point. I don't sugarcoat things I say, and it let's just say my Twitter followers go up and down quite frequently, and but the good ones, like the Dadmans and like Cred Sox, all that, they all stick around. they always just like, what the hell is he gonna say today? And but yeah, I got more attention through memes. Then more people started doing memes, and so I put out just my really good ones here and there, but I play games in the background. I put up a video maybe once in 6 months.
Right. I remember the last one you put up.
Yeah, just a random video. I was like, you know what? I was like, this looks like a funny video. I think I'll edit this. I was bored. I was like, I'll edit the video, and did the intro and all that stuff. But I was like, got a few views, but a certain site's algorithm is a little jacked, so it if people see it, great. If not, I think the best video on my channel that I still have up it had to do with Freddie Prinze Jr. and Gina Carano. That had like over 400 views, and that's fantastic for a channel my size, which is like 24 subs.
Right. Oh wow, that is good. Those are really good numbers.
Yeah, that's good numbers for that little set. But yeah, I lurk around. I play games with others if invited, of course. I don't intrude if I don't, I'm not wanted. But
do you prefer playing off stream, or do you like playing on stream a lot?
I think it depends on how drunk I am. If I've been drinking a bit, people are like, "Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and cut this string because he's gonna say something really horrific."
Yeah, we just lost the channel. No, I'm saying, dude.
I looked at my both screens. I'm like, no, they're still going.
Oh no.
Yeah, no. Like that's why I think a lot of people are like, they question like I like the guy, but I want to stream. Like, so if they want to stream, I'm just like, let them stream. And it's like, and if I want to play with something, like, are you streaming? No, okay, can I come in?
Yeah,
I don't mind being on, but like if people are streaming and we're playing games, I typically have my microphone muted because, like, you get taken out by an enemy, and you say some off-color things that the internet gods don't like.
Oh, you got to be careful with that, because I mean, you get so used to playing even on the side, who knows what. I mean, I've learned that there's banned stuff that's like, what? So it's just it's very silly and how to operate with those. Since I've started streaming the Fortnite game too now, I have to watch myself with that too, because it's just it's just amazing the things that you have to watch that really shouldn't be a big deal. So, but it is. And by the way, like here, CJ, he's like, all I say is all color stuff. Yeah. And guess what? Here's our friend. No, we don't. Don't lie, Jen. Carol, you played with me last night, and I tell you what, you were a saint last night. You were so good. You snorted there, but she was very good last night, and it was really, really cool.
No, throw that boogie bomb at her a few times and tell me how sweet she is.
Carol's always
she'll cut you left and right.
all in love. But yeah, so yeah, it's awesome. It was fun to have her on. I tell you, because now streaming it, it's really weird, actually being the person running the stream, because I mean, you got to be responsible for what you say, for what the guests say. You got to make sure it's going. It's really bizarre,
It's like I already got enough in my mental plate. I don't need to be like worried about what the hell everybody else is about to do.
Well, what's weird is normally I try to be chatty as much as I can, but like what I kind of like let the guests do more of the talking. It's like I sit back and I just get so used to playing, like, when I'm just playing with people, and exactly. And let the players, are doing a good job. And we love playing with you too, Carol.
Yeah, you're
Thank
right.
you. Yeah. And
Yeah,
Mrs.
you're
Dadman,
okay.
Mrs. Dadman's a good one herself there, you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we were on somebody's street. It's just, yeah,
She should be yelling
yeah.
at you the
You
whole
get
time.
those personal, you get those private party habits that, I know I've done it. I've done it on this channel where I was supposed to try to stay PG, and I'm like, oops, sorry. But hey, well, thanks for letting us know a bit about you, Jen. So, and Jen is out there in Twitter. I can't English, but Twitter. What's your Twitter
Can't
handle?
English.
Can't English, yeah.
Same name. Same as my name at that Gen X guy.
Okay, so look him up, check him out, and see what kind of humor he has, and of course, every once in a while he'll post a reaction video or something. So I like the last one you did. So, but with that, you ready to move on?
Yeah.
We'll get into some football now. All righty, let's see if I can hit the buttons correctly. So,
I wish we had
first
an
of all, we
intro,
always remind everybody.
like an intro, like the NFL, the
Oh,
old school NFL intro.
oh
Like,
yeah,
dude, that'd be
yeah,
awesome. But that
that
would
would be
definitely flag
great.
your channel.
Yeah, I know that's the problem. That's kind of what I've done. There's especially with football, like Florida, Georgia. When we talk about that in a few weeks, there, Georgia, Tennessee. There are clips of games that would be wonderful to play for people. That
Oh
are
man,
30, 40 years old. But it's like, is it worth taking the chance on it? And especially we're sort of getting up and going. But I mean, it's not like I'm going to make money on it. But you know what? They've done crazier things for less. So.
yeah. Well, it's funny. It's like
But
I think the internet is aware that we were doing this tonight because YouTube kept suggesting different football videos like hardest hits, trick
mm-hmm,
plays, stuff like that. Just some great videos. I've been watching them left and right. I got done a little before we started here. I was
mm-hmm.
watching trick plays, and I was like, yeah. And I'm looking at them like, yeah, that's a broken rule right there. That's a broken rule now. Like, it's just, that's a broken rule. I'm just
Yep.
watching like I was like flag right there, flag right there.
Yeah, and it's just like you just never know when they decide they're going to enforce something either too. So,
Exactly.
and then our Boston Patriot fan, New England Patriots fan. Sorry, Mac Jones, Alabama. Yes, he is. Yeah, but look, this is like,
Are
focus
you
on the cuteness.
agreeing that Mac Jones is cute, Dadman?
I'm not. No, I'm not. I just but the typical thing there. Well, see, the missus when she was on shared the story about how she went to watch football with people, some friends, spent the whole time with the binoculars looking at the buttocks. So
Imagine them the cheerleaders. I mean, it's human nature, I think.
I know. Got to have something fun, especially if you're not necessarily in the football game. So,
Mac Jones is cute. He could fly away with them ears.
like she said, it's a girl thing. Yes. Oh. Well, what we'll have tonight is a lot of information. We'll talk about football. And in the end, we'll do some picks of games. The picks will be straight up, no points or anything like that. We're just picking up straight up winners and just doing it for fun among friends. We're not a gambling site. We don't pertain to be an expert with whatever. So don't take anything we say to the point where you want to bet on it. So
exactly. The X in my name does not have anything to do with being an expert.
Exactly.
It is just there.
Yes. I should start every opinion I have out loud. See this, and I forget. Like, yep, I agree. Well, we're just trying to be very careful with that on here now. So it's just so there's no confusion. Yeah, hell, isn't that why girls watch the game? See guys in tight uniforms.
I know some women that are probably into football far more than even just us here.
Yeah,
but I guarantee you, there's a part of them that is there to see some guy butt.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So just remember, we're going to have some fun tonight with talking some football, guys. So anyway, well, with that, we are going to look at last week's action. Hopefully you got to see some, Jen, because I had to watch replays afterwards. You know why?
There was networking issue or something like that.
Yes. I guess the mouse decided not to play ball with some of the like Sling TV, and I was out of
contract
football
crap and money, etc. And so a lot of people, especially my dad and my in-laws, Ole Miss some really good games. Like I have that Disney Plus, CNN or no CNN, God, ESPN bundle.
Mm-hmm.
I had to get all that account set up just so I could watch the damn Georgia game.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, yeah, yes, first world problems. Assuming someone hears this, yes,
Yeah.
but it was still a pain because you had to log this in, log that in, just to watch the games that you wanted to watch.
Oh,
But
geez. Yeah.
yeah, there was. But I was able to watch. Last week there was at least two or three like really good games.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the games were close last week.
Yeah.
Uh, but others were just blowouts.
Yeah. Well, we'll look at them. Let's look at them. You ready?
All right.
All right. Let's go. Hey, probably the big game of the week was Alabama Arkansas.
Yes.
Alabama
Right.
ends up going away 49-26. Um, Alabama almost 600 yards of total offense, yet Arkansas held the ball longer. Jalen Milroe came in off the bench for Alabama after Bryce Young got hurt, the starter. Milroe went 4 of 9 passing, 65 yards with a touchdown, and also gained 91 yards on the ground and a touchdown. Jamar Gibbs for Alabama, 18 carries, 206 yards, 2 touchdowns. One was 72 and one was 76 yards. We'll talk about a little bit about that in a moment. Arkansas had 187 yards rushing in the game, which is the most allowed by Alabama since week 3 last season. And this game marks 2 SEC losses in a row for the Arkansas Razorbacks. So, Jim, what were your thoughts when you saw this game?
When the game was starting out, like the first 2 quarters were they were pretty good. I was sitting there like, if Arkansas, sits there and or not the first, no, the second and the third quarter were really
Mm-hmm.
good. I was like, all right, Arkansas. I'm like, keep playing this, keep doing your thing. The fact that they managed to keep Alabama in an entire quarter from scoring
Yeah.
is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
It's so rare. In the last 10 years, I don't think hardly any team has kept Bama from at least scoring, a field goal or, it's just something in each quarter. But an entire quarter, Bama doesn't score, and for Bama, that's pretty rare. And I was rooting for Arkansas
Yeah.
because I mean they're not really an underdog. They're if there was a if there was a class between veteran and underdog, they'd be in between up there. They can hold their own when the time comes.
Mm-hmm. When the season started, I picked Arkansas to finish second in the West because I felt they had more potential. I mean, then A&M. The questions were their offense really was down to their offense. And we'll talk more about them later too, which seems to have come true. But what the Arkansas I would have picked this game for Arkansas to win it, but last week I picked Bama only because Arkansas lost that game to A&M the week before in a really ugly fashion. And it's kind of like this was supposed to be the season for Arkansas to break out. I think they could have challenged, and I think the way this game went, they did challenge Alabama. They were down early, but they pulled within 28-23 until that fourth quarter, and then you had the 72-yard touchdown run and the 76-yard touchdown run. And not only that, you had the Alabama quarterback who really did not look good throwing the football.
No,
on that 3rd and long, and he ran 70 yards to inside the 10-yard line.
He had a lot of the Alabama quarterback. Was it Young?
Milroe. Yeah.
No. Oh yeah, and he had a lot of sloppy throws. Like they weren't perfect. He's lucky he had some good receivers to bring in the sloppy passes, because a lot of them were a little out of the box. And
it just was. I think the key play of that game was when it was 28-23 in the fourth quarter. Alabama faced 3rd and 15. It was a long third down that they had, and Milroe he outran Bumper Pool. Yeah, that's the name of an Arkansas linebacker, Bumper Pool, who was spying on him. Yeah, you know the name?
Yeah, it sounds more like a NASCAR driver name, but
yeah,
I mean
he's from Arkansas though.
He's definitely going to be an announcer later with that name alone.
Exactly. Well, he couldn't keep up with them, and 70 yards later, sets up the next touchdown, and then it was just like a video game. The next 2 plays Alabama ran on offense was just like touchdown. So, but yeah, I was disappointed with Arkansas because I looked at Arkansas as a team that could have challenged Alabama in the West this year, but it's that ship sailed now because they've lost to A&M and Alabama. So. Anything else on this game, or do you think we've hit this enough?
No, you narrowed it down and covered all the good points.
Meet his dad, Pool. Hey, thank you, Jen. We got some unicorns showing up. All right, that's the only Fortnite character we've left off tonight, I think. So.
Yeah, no, we should if you get awards on here, he needs to have that as the anime character. He'll love
Exactly. He loves the unicorns. I can't believe he did a stream 6 hours in the unicorn suit. That was hilarious. So
the night or was it last night? No, the night before. I put the hero request in for the unicorn.
Yeah.
And he goes, Jen, I really hate you.
Yep. People hate the unicorn for some reason. So, oh man, probably like they might not have liked this game last week, where LSU outlasted Auburn 21-17.
Auburn had I was pulling for Auburn to win that.
And Auburn had the statistical advantages looking at the passing yardage, and really should have probably won this game. But the big factor, 4 turnovers. Yeah, you have 4 turnovers like that.
Yeah, it should have been. Yeah, if it weren't for those if they didn't have the turnovers, this is one of those games where the turnovers killed them.
Mm-hmm.
And they work on that, they'll do just fine. But if they have too many turnovers, especially in the future, then it's going to be a hard season. But
yeah, well, this was it. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I guarantee the quarterback got absolutely chewed out in the locker room.
He's making a second or third, I think second start for him though, because he's but yeah, when he was 19 of 38, only 50% passing. He did throw for 337 yards, 2 touchdowns, but a pick. But then LSU rallied from 17-0 to have 21 unanswered points to win the game. And like we talked about the turnovers, Jay Ward for LSU had a 23-yard fumble return touchdown that started the rally. So. This is definitely one of those games that it probably was an ugly one to watch, when you have something like that and then a late rally like that. But, it's give LSU credit. They're finding ways to win this year. I mean, the only thing that they couldn't do was beat FSU because of a blocked PAT. So,
yeah.
Yeah. And then when we talk turnovers, you always have – I love them. Apples are the best. All right. I've grown to like apple, but I still prefer cherry. You got anything else on this one, Jen? I mean, I don't know that we really have a lot on this one.
It simply just comes down to, turnovers. Turnovers hurt Auburn on that one.
Yeah. And here's the game, and I did get this one right with Ole Miss beating Kentucky because everybody's fallen in love with Kentucky this year. I think they're falling in love with Ole Miss maybe a little more than they should, but Kentucky really, I mean, look again for 19 points. They lost 22-19. They did beat Florida several weeks ago, but if you look back at it, they were hitting 14 points from the quarterback. They didn't, Kentucky is one of those teams that had a lot of expectations in the East, but I mean, record-wise, they're still good, but after losing this game, and they've got games with Georgia and Tennessee down the road, it could be, they could have a disappointing season when it ends up. basically, Kentucky had the ball for about 13 minutes more. Jackson Dart for Ole Miss was 15 of 29 passing for 213 yards with an interception, 40 yards on the ground. Quinshon Judkins for Ole Miss carried 15 times for 106 yards with a touchdown. Kentucky quarterback Will Rivas was 18 of 24 for 220 yards with 2 touchdowns. See, numerically wise, their stats look good, but point wise, you don't get much. And then Chris Rodriguez Jr., running back for Kentucky, made his first appearance of the season. He had 72 yards on 19 carries. But one of the key factors, like we talked about, again, 2 turnovers to 1 for Kentucky. And the last point we had, the Kentucky had 2 failed PATs, point after touchdowns. It had a kick block and a failed 2-point conversion run. So when you miss points like that early in the game, it comes back to haunt you.
Yeah. Now this is the point in this game. Like, turnovers can be your best friend or your worst enemy, but with Auburn, like the turnovers, it was used against them heavily. But Kentucky had the turnovers, but they made nothing with it. They probably, one of those turnovers was probably good for them, and that was it.
Well, and actually those 2 turnovers happened in the last 3 minutes of the game too.
Yeah.
Talk about inopportune time for turnovers to occur.
Exactly.
And Ole Miss actually took the lead in the third quarter with 2:19 left, so it was with a 26-yard field goal. So it was a scoreless fourth quarter. So it was probably, this might have been another game that was hard to watch. Were you able to watch any of this one or not?
I caught the first half of the game, and I had some other stuff I had to get done, but
well, at least you got to see it. I had to do other stuff because
adulting.
Yeah. Well, it was forced on me because of our cable thing. We won't talk about again, but
yeah.
Which leads us to another kind of the surprising result of this game. Mississippi State blows out Texas A&M 42-24. Texas A&M had a garbage touchdown late in the game. Again, A&M with 4 turnovers, though. It kills you, especially when you're struggling on offense. Will Rogers for Mississippi State was 31 of 45 passing for 329 yards, 3 touchdowns. Max Johnson numerically was not bad for A&M, being 19 of 26 passing for 206 yards with a touchdown. But you get back to turnovers. They have an effect. And then if you look also, Mississippi State scored on 2 non-offensive touchdowns. They had a 50-yard blocked field goal return and a 33-yard interception return for touchdowns. So, turnovers and special teams it's bad enough when you have 4 turnovers, but when you also special teams can have a significant influence on the result of a game. Mississippi State had Ra Thomas 5 catches for 134 yards with a 75-yard touchdown, and Moose Muhammad for A&M had 6 catches for 119 yards and a touchdown. So, did you get to see much of this game, or what are your thoughts looking at it here?
This is one game I kept flipping back and forth between another game and this one. I wasn't surprised by the results based on watching Texas A&M, how they were playing. They were playing with their pants down. Like they were making way too many mistakes, and like as you have listed here, perfectly and beautifully, I might add. Texas A&M, they somewhat came to play, but too many errors on their part, and resulted in a heavy loss.
Well, I saw some stories coming out of College Station this week that there's some talk that Jimbo Fisher may be on the hot seat. But then again, I don't know the exact contract details, but it seemed like when he took the job, it's like they mortgaged the farm. They not only bought out the previous coach, it's like, they hawked everything up, the boosters and all to get him out there. And it's like, and after 3 or 4 years, you would expect at least a Western Division title and appearance in the SEC championship game. And now this was supposed to be a year, I think, since they beat Alabama last year. We'll talk about that too later. But there was hopes, like I said, they were projected second by most people to finish in the West, but now I don't know. This is a hard game to lose. So, all right. Well, yeah, I will say the thing is the people Starkville, Mississippi sure had a good time.
Oh yeah,
And I tell you, yeah, go ahead.
They partied. I know that. I seen the post. They had themselves a good night.
Oh, I tell you what, if you need more cowbell, go to Starkville, Mississippi for a football game. The only school that's allowed to bring their own noisemakers into neutral site games.
I need more cowbell.
Oh God, they came here for a bowl game one year, and it's like because they got the exception for the noisemakers to go into the stadium. So that's like, but you know what? It's kind of cool to have a tradition, you know.
Yeah, that's because they're just going to take it in there anyway.
Yeah, well,
girls are going to hide them where girls hide things, and guys, I don't even want to ask where they hide them, but they manage to sneak stuff in.
Yep, they do have turnovers at Kentucky Fried Chicken. Yep, that's true. Oh man,
no lies detected, dude.
Now we're going to talk about. Yeah, we're going to talk about.
Right
this game here, Jen. I mean, Georgia was down 10 with 14 minutes left in the game, and yet they pulled out a 26-22 win, which is stunning when you look at the numbers. Double the first downs, almost 200 more yards, more time of possession. Again, 2 turnovers. Bennett was 24-43 passing, 312 yards. Brady Cook from Missouri was 20 of 32 passing for 192 yards. But even though Georgia had its problems, Missouri's problem has always been enough consistent offense when they don't have the right quarterbacks. 15 of the 22 points were scored on field goals, 5 field goals in the game. Some were very, very short field goals and get in the red zone. And when you settle for field goals continuously instead of touchdowns, it can catch you. So Georgia actually trailed 19-6 entering the fourth quarter and scored the go-ahead touchdown with 4 minutes, 3 seconds left in the game. So, Jen, as a Georgia fan, how was it to watch this game, and what are your thoughts about the team overall after watching this game?
All right, hide the kids, everybody.
Okay.
This goddamn game, it's fucking bullshit. I was so just annoyed because they were making the decisions that Georgia hasn't made in like 5 years, and that point blank as a Georgia fan, I will admit this. Mm-hmm. Georgia was way too arrogant walking into this game. Mm-hmm. And it showed in the second quarter. The second quarter, they were just screwing up. They got everything fixed by the fourth quarter. By the fourth quarter, it was normal Georgia. Mm-hmm. But how Georgia played in the fourth quarter, that should have been Georgia the entire game. And this game should have been 45, maybe 10. But mm-hmm. Yeah, Missouri, they did their homework. They did their homework, and they nearly damn got the job done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was shocked when I saw it because this is a game because of the TV thing, I did not see it till the next day, and I'm like, it was bad enough when I saw it was 26-22. Then when I saw what happened in the fourth quarter, I'm like, holy crap! So, are you concerned about the team going forward though? When they struggled, like when they only scored 33 against Samford, and when they have a game like this,
against Auburn, because as long as Georgia doesn't make this, as long as they've corrected the mistakes that they've made, mm-hmm. I think it's going to be a great game tomorrow, regardless. But Georgia fans right now, I've seen even online, they are wary of the games going forward but the thing is though, and mm-hmm. I'm gonna say this like a typical Georgia fan or just a fan of just their favorite team, but a lot of teams have been doing this, like making errors and having very close games with teams that they should have absolutely destroyed or decimated. And they all end up being close games, and everybody's kind of doing this, but each team they're working out the different things. They're testing their backup quarterbacks or their special teams, or they're just testing the waters and everything. And so yeah, it makes the games interesting, but as fans of these teams, it makes your heart skip a beat a few times.
Yeah. I remember when the Gators were good and you'd have games like this. You're like, what the heck are you guys doing? And I also understand sometimes you play down to your competition, and those are the dangerous games because, like you said, this should have been 45-10 or something, but sometimes you happen because like in Georgia with South Carolina went on the road and blew them out 48-7 with no sweat. So when you start to get concerned, and then all of a sudden the next week they just act like normal, and the team you think that they're going to struggle with, they just kill them.
Yeah, and that's the great thing with football, and anything can go any way at once in the game, and just like the Falcons Super Bowl. I know stepping away from college ball, but the same situation. They got ahead, everybody's excited, everybody got cocky, and then you can't let your guard down against your opponent, regardless of who it is. I don't care if they are the best team in that division or the absolute worst team. Like, they could easily just find a weakness in you and exploit it. And that's what Missouri did. That's what Arkansas briefly did, with Bama. But this season for football has been really interesting, and so I'm wary of games going forward, but yeah, it's going to be an interesting weekend.
Yeah, I just I've been in that situation too with a team that you have all these expectation for, and it's hard, calming down. I have trouble watching those type of games like this where there's, that on paper that you're so much better than they are. Let me stop real quick and say a couple things, a couple hellos. Wade, good to see you, man. Let me hit it. Hey,
Wade.
We'll win it all.
Yeah, he means Tennessee will win it all.
I need to watch what I say right now, because after seeing Georgia in a few games and after having seen Tennessee, and I know that game's in Georgia, I think the Dogs might be in for more of a handle than we thought when the season began.
You bring it, Wade.
Yeah, bring it, Wade.
I'm doing the Undertaker, the throat thing with the eyes.
That's funny.
You bring it, Wade.
Bring it, Wade. I love it. I love it. Hey, wait till you guys. Jen will be back in a few weeks for the Florida-Georgia week. He and I are going to go toe-to-toe, right, Jen? We're going to have some fun on that one.
I mean, it's more just me, like my foot on you, and we're just hanging out.
Yeah, I'll fight back a bit. We'll see whatever. And hi to Liam Grey Wolf. Thanks for coming through. Hey, absolutely.
Liam.
Absolutely.
I see his name. All I think of is the actor, the dude from Taken.
Yeah, Liam's a really cool guy, and I love Fortnite with him too. He's awesome to play with, and he's really cool with helping support other streamers out there.
Did you just make Fortnite a plural?
Fortniters. I could say Fortnite.
I'm Fortnite with you.
I am trying to make that word into fornication properly. Fortnite. I can't get a damn word right, but take fornicate and make it
lean over to Mrs.
That. And of course,
lean over to Mrs. Dadman.
Hey, like, Mrs. Dadman,
you ready to Fortnite?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like, wait, what? Absolutely. Let me just say hi, real quick hi to Squeaka. Thanks for swinging by. Good luck on your work. And yes, I said fornication. If somehow I could work fornication into Fortnite, Fortnite-cation. Fortnite-cation. There you go. I might need to do that on my streams, label it Fortnite-ification, you know?
Somebody somewhere is watching. Go, I thought we were talking about football.
Oh, we're a screwed up mess here. We just do everything.
We set a game plan, and then
that's the point, CJ. That's the
then
point.
we see a side road, and we just go down it.
Fortnite tonight. All right.
Not the same thing.
No, I don't think
the
so.
Same thing.
That's Fortnite-ification. I love it.
Fortnite tonight. Yeah, that's good. That's
so,
awesome.
All right. How about we put this game in the mirror so you don't have to worry about it again? But to my point, Wade,
it's still a scar.
My point to Wade is, let me see real quick. I'm trying to let me see if I can use the internet and do this at the same damn time. I think the Georgia-Tennessee game may be next week, if I'm correct.
Yeah, hold on a second.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it too.
Next week they play Bama.
Do you know? Tennessee plays Bama next week.
Are you talking about Georgia, Tennessee?
Tennessee, Georgia game.
I think that's week 9. No, not week 9. Well, fuck, maybe it's week 10.
Okay.
That is. Yeah, it's week 10 here in Georgia.
Basically, Wade.
That's right.
It's November 5th.
November
5th. Wade, make sure you make that show because I don't know. I might have a surprise pick that night. I'm going to see how things go right now because I've been pretty impressed with Tennessee this year. They got over the Florida hump. And, I know Kentucky wants them. I listen to sports radio Animal out of Knoxville, and the Kentucky people are coming after them, chirping. But see, Kentucky loses at Ole Miss, so it'll be interesting. So be around that week then. So, all right, you notice I left that game up longer for Jed. Just these next two, we're just going to blow through these. These are just paycheck games. South Carolina beats. It's like the inbreeding game in interstate.
Yeah, it was just it's one of those games they have on, but all it is clogging up airtime because the game was just an absolute joke. Like it's like Georgia playing Georgia Tech. It's just an absolute steamroll.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let me get your thought on this real quick. You remember Spencer Rattler from a few years ago? You remember he transferred from Oklahoma, right?
Yeah.
You remember when they played Florida in a bowl game, and Florida was distracted with Mullen with the NFL, and none of the players played, so they blew Florida out, and they started running their mouth about the Gators making excuses and stuff.
Yeah, they did. They were talking tremendous garbage.
Yeah, but have you seen this numbers this year? They're so pedestrian.
Yeah.
He lost his job last year at Oklahoma, comes to South Carolina with all these, and it's like he's like just regular guy numbers,
Yeah. Like he has this beautiful resume, but they're not getting their money for what, or they're not getting what they paid for, basically.
Right, exactly.
He may just be, sometimes they're just burned out, and but he's just doing it because hey, this is career I picked. So
yeah, well, you had a guy, JT Daniels. Mr. All-Star that it's like they couldn't win a job at USC, so they go to Georgia. They got hurt, sadly, but then they lost the job to the next guy, to the third string guy on the depth chart. So then now I think he's in West Virginia. It's like at some point these guys, I think, make a mistake not staying in one place and just bearing through and dealing with it.
And then what also hurts these guys is they'll get on social media and just start shit talking left and right, and it kills them because at the end of the day, these team owners, the coaches, etc., they are all old school brutes. They don't like social media, but they use social media because they have to, because it's part of the future.
Yeah.
But they do not like, people going on there talking garbage, just acting like children.
It's even worse. They've had players doing it during a game before.
Oh yeah.
That's what's even
and I've seen a coach. I don't remember the team, but coach went over there and smacked the phone out of the guy's hand because the dude up top radioed down to the head coach or the defensive coordinator, and he went over there and smacked the phone out of the player's hand. I'm like, wait a minute, why is the player got the phone? Like, and he had like some apparently some of the players will put their phones like under the bench or whatnot, but yeah, he was on there just talking garbage. He was doing selfies, all this stuff. Like, yeah, we're winning this shit, and then they turn around losing.
Hey, I'm going to take a little personal turn on this one because it's funny you talk about hiding everything. When I was in college, we used to the students and I, as a student many years ago, we'd go to the baseball games and heckle. We only had baseball then. And it was like heckle the right fielder like crazy, and occasionally they get ticked off or whatever. And sometimes the first baseman. We even had a right fielder throw the ball over the fence at us once. But one particular game I was not there for. Apparently, they were so hard on this one guy from Florida Atlantic, this first baseman. There was a ball that came over the fence, and the first baseman was coming, and he jumped the fence to go get it. The students saw that he was going to go after one of the other students, and at the last second, his teammates rushed out and got him back and restrained him from coming and kicking the guy's ass. Well, the funny thing was the next night, because, back when they played 3-game series, next night, the students there got together and ordered Pizza Hut, had it delivered. So they called in one of the players, hey, we got these pizzas for you guys. Thank you for saving our guy last night. It was so funny watching those guys sneak around the pizza. They went all the way out the right field bullpen as far as they could go to hide from the coaches, eating pizza in the back in the bullpen.
That's the worst food you could eat when you're playing. Like, you're running around that field and you're just vomiting.
They don't care. They're college students. They're hungry. So, hey, let's get rid of the last paycheck game because I didn't give a crap about this one. I'm glad I didn't have to pay to watch this crap. Florida won going away, but yeah, it's like big deal. You lost the game that was important.
Yeah,
listen, I could have taken the loss at Tennessee. They showed well. They played well. They even tried to come back. The game that I cannot stand from them was the Kentucky game, where Anthony Richardson gave 2 touchdowns away to Kentucky that literally gave Kentucky the game. And the coaching decisions, though, this guy thinks he's Les Miles. Napier for Florida. I don't like that. Some of the Gator fans that I've talked to love it. They love the game. But it's like going for 4th down on your end of the field all the time and stuff like that. Dude, it'll burn your ass against a good team. Try that against Georgia or something.
Georgia's going to pimp slap you down. You try that shit.
Yeah, I know.
And,
there was go ahead. Sorry.
This game in particular, it was what you expected it to be, but it's like that team, you just know their school is like a refurbished like old high school.
Yeah, Eastern Washington Eagles.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure how a team only gets 17 points but holds the ball for 36 minutes. But then again, the Gators have the satanic number, so hey, I'm glad I didn't watch that one. But
great holding that ball, but they did nothing with it.
Yeah, and they got 14 points they scored at the very end of the game, which you can attribute to the subs being in for the Gators. But there was one other thing in the South Carolina game I did want to pick your brain about, and I know we're having fun talking about a lot of stuff tonight. The 2-point conversion, South Carolina in their game ran a 2-point, because of a botched snap, but they ran a 2-point conversion on the first score of the game. I know I've seen that somewhere in the NFL done. I think that I'm seeing that happening. Have you seen that developing in games that you've been following where right out of the bat, they go for 2 right off the bat?
Yeah. But a lot of the pro teams, they're unsuccessful a lot of times with it. Now, it has been super helpful, but it's 2-point conversion. I primarily see it in college games because at the end of the day, a lot of these players, they're still learning tricks and trick plays and all that. And that's where you're able to get away with the 2-point conversion. But pro teams, these guys been in it, many years and they played college ball. So they're like, trying to 2-point conversions, like, it's so rare, and you might get you have to be super clever for it in the NFL, but yeah, I've been seeing a lot more lately, and
it's especially what gets me is I know there's always been the thing about doing it too early to get back, like the first score of the game. It's like, why would you go take that gamble so early for a low percentage play? I mean, it just seems like it's one of those trends that's starting to develop. And when they get a quote book out there to do it with these analysts and stuff, everybody jumps on the bandwagon.
Yeah, probably just for the bragging rights of scoring first the game.
Yeah.
Because maybe they think they're not going to win the game, but they just want to be in the record books saying, "Hey, we scored first."
It's a trend that I think I'm seeing. I don't like it. Like I said, I don't like what the Gators are doing. This guy thinks it's almost like flashes of Les Miles from LSU, gambling all the time.
Yeah.
He had once against the Gators, and Gators couldn't beat him because every freaking first down he made, fourth down conversion they made the whole game. So, hey, well, that wraps up last week's action. So, hey, some really not any. I guess the best game of the week from a football standpoint was the Georgia-Missouri game.
Yeah,
I mean, not if you're a Georgia fan, but in terms of if you wanted a good, close, competitive game.
But it should have been like the Alabama-Arkansas game. Like,
yeah,
like,
absolutely.
yay, the other team scored, but yeah, this team's about to.
Or maybe it close for 3 quarters and then blow out in the fourth quarter or something. Yeah, kind of like it happened with that. Absolutely. So, all right. So, hey, Jen. Now we come to the part of the section about the football. Obviously, the normal question I ask most people, because most people that I've had on as guests so far really have been more casual people and stuff, and it's been fun. Obviously, I'm going to ask, who's your favorite college football team? Or do you have any other college teams, since it's obvious? Do you have any other college teams that you'd like to follow, or any pro football teams that you consider a favorite?
Well, the obvious favorite college team is Georgia, but no, college football. I enjoy watching Auburn because they, some weeks they're wild cards. They, they'll be good and they'll be bad, but they're fun to watch. I mean, my dad's from Nebraska, so I'll watch Nebraska, but they make far too many mistakes, and they're, my dad will blame every other conference and every other team before he admits that Nebraska's just not that good. And
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead.
No, well, it's because of the history of Nebraska. People that this is for you younger people out there, since I'm an old fart anyway. Back in the 70s and 80s, nobody, I'll say, fucked with Nebraska. Nebraska and Oklahoma every year. Nebraska and Oklahoma every year in the Big 8 conference. Nobody messed with them.
No,
they beat people 77-0 weekly on their home turf.
80s Nebraska.
Yeah, exactly.
80s Nebraska was the big swinging dick of the entire college football. Just the whole thing. Like everybody's like, oh shit! It's like they were the Alabama of their.
They were better than Alabama, I think, because when the first time Florida got to a national championship game, the joke became, this just in, like weeks later, this just in, Tommy Frazier scored again, because it was like Florida was so good, and it was like they couldn't stop them. It was hideous, and that's, I say that for the people out there, because CJ, I had to do it one time. Because I used it for this. My thing with profanity is either for timely humor or to emphasize a matter, and I'm really using it here to truly be serious and emphasize a matter. Back in the 70s, 80s, nobody messed with Nebraska. They were, like he said, the swinging dicks and stuff. I mean, you did not mess with Nebraska or Oklahoma. Compared to now, it's sad. Yeah. It's like watching your greatest film hero just go into nothing. It's sad for their history they love football out there. They're passionate. It is to see how far they've fallen to a Nebraska fan. It's really truly tragic. I mean, no hope. They hired Scott Frost a few years ago when the Gators might have fired this year. Why? Because he lost at home to Georgia Southern, a little teeny school. Yeah, so I'm sorry, Jed. I got onto that soapbox there because
no,
what's your thought, or what's your dad's thought with what happened with Scott Frost in that case?
He wasn't surprised because it's been something really all these schools have been doing. It's when the team loses or they look at all the stats, much like we are here, but probably to a far higher degree. But they're looking at all the stats, who's getting injured, what they're looking at every single decision that the college, head coach or the head coach is making, and so many teams are doing this where it's like, okay, we're not getting close to a winning season, and then they just immediately fire them. Now, I would give them a chance, like don't fire them, with like less, such little time of being there. Like they have to do their homework. They have to understand the players. They have to understand, what plays work better. But how can you get all that done and not and then just get fired? Like my dad's not surprised by it because he says it just seems to be the norm now. It's like they think they're gonna hire a new coach and then immediately win the national championship. Mm-hmm. And it's like, no, it's not gonna happen.
We had that problem in Gainesville and Florida too. Yeah, but you know what? One of the other problems is like, look at where they are. It's Nebraska. How does Lincoln, Nebraska sound to live at if you're an 18 to 20-year-old college student compared to South Florida or Southern California?
I've been in Lincoln. It's win or lose, like it's the same environment. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
Yep. Well, other than Nebraska, are there any of the other college teams or NFL teams that you like?
I'm out. There's several college teams I'll watch, but they're not ones. But like NFL, my favorite pro team's Packers.
I know somebody else that likes the Packers too. So yeah, it's popular. I hate the Packers because they keep killing the Cowboys every time there's a damn playoff game.
That's why I fucking love them. like get them SOBs off that field. I'm sick of seeing them.
I got somebody shared some memes with me about that loves to give me a hard time about that. I'll have to share them with you later. So
sounds good.
But yeah, you'd love them. There's one that actually had a bucket of shit and Cowboys fans next together, and it's like, what's the difference? Which one's better? And it's like, you'd have to see. I blew the punchline on that one. Sorry, Jim, but you'll love it when you see it. It's, but hey, all right. Well, what about football do you really like, especially looking at it from a college football angle? Since you follow college football a lot more, what do you really like? What captures your interest? Like bands, cheerleaders, tailgating uniforms. Stuff like that.
Well, the cheerleader. I'm no kidding. I mean, yes, but not. It's the environment. Like, look, much American football, much like any other sport, it brings people together. Even if the sets of fans are, side by side, like. They're only arguing about that one thing that's going on, the game. And but at the end of the day, everybody's is there for the same reason, the love of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the escapism to get away, from really anybody's crap that they might have going on in their own world, And it's a great 2-3 hour escape, hang out with people, get drunk, eat really terrible food.
Now that you said that particular one right there, Mark D with a C came in.
What's that?
You ought to see his ribs the week he was on.
Oh,
go back and look at that. The ribs that man makes.
Fuck him. He be posting all that wonderful food, and I'm just sitting there with my sad fucking burrito, and he's like he's like I seen his smoker, like his wonderful family hanging out, like is the food done? No, Mark's taking another goddamn photo, and
what do you do with me and him out there?
Exactly, and it's like, but he'll post it. The ribs look so good.
Damn, I'm ready to drive north.
He doesn't buy fucking store brand barbecue sauce. Like he probably goes to like some hillside, like some guy just made it, like his grandma's recipe, like type stuff.
I keep threatening to get in the car and drive north there just to when he's going to put a shindig on. That's just it's amazing. So, but yeah, and the cheerleaders. So yeah, the coming together, like you were saying, sorry for that. I just couldn't resist with the timing with the food, and then Mark comes in.
Cheerleaders,
exactly.
That's right, CJ. The cheerleaders.
One of the things I've always liked are the bands too. That you got the bands, and I think that if you go to there's increasing use of pumped-in music now over the bands, and I don't like that.
It sucks. They started doing that during the pandemic when nobody was in the stands. And I'm just like, what in the fuck is going on?
It's not the same.
Yeah. And,
they got the band not playing because they got to play some damn rock song or something else. It's like, come on, man. We were here for the bands. So also, well, are there any, I'm sure that I might remember a game or two here, but are any football college games that stand out to you that you have special memories of?
God, that national championship last year with Bama, Georgia and Bama is just, Georgia fan, like it is such a wonderful moment being able to, be alive because, I wasn't alive when Georgia won their first one.
I was. Sorry.
Yeah, just make a Dadman back hurt just a little bit more, everybody.
Well, no, what was worse about that year was Herschel Walker.
Yes.
Unstoppable. But I'll say that I'll say my memories about Georgia for the Florida Georgia week. But go ahead. But yeah, that was a long time ago.
But yeah, just such a great memory. Like so many great, like crazy outcomes and plays throughout the whole game. Like both teams came packed and ready to go, and they wasted no time. They were like, it was a pretty chaotic game. There were several games that I'm sure if I could remember the two, but they were, a lot of them are always just end up being Eastern teams. Mm-hmm. The crazier games, like because they I feel like a lot of the Eastern teams take a lot more risk than other college teams, but so they make for more interesting games. But yeah, that national championship last year was, or technically speaking this year, was pretty crazy.
Well, especially considering what had happened a year or two before with a tragic way that game was lost, because I just got ang up to say, hey, you're about to win a national title, and then a 50-yard, I just on third down just was like, to lose a gut puncher game at the end like that. I had to make it even better to have won it last year like you did.
Yeah, that one that sucked. Yeah, like to make it, and then and then there was, I know the go-to, like when there's a crappy call towards a team, people are like, mm-hmm. Oh, you just think it's a crappy call because it's your team. No, there were some really, really terrible calls, and like just very questionable calls that game. And so, yeah, it was just all nuts.
I'm not sure about this one we've got in the chat here. How about the lights going out on halftime due to the generator blowing up at the 49ers Super Bowl?
That was awesome.
Oh, I didn't see it. Go ahead. Go ahead and react to this.
That was fucking awesome.
So what happened?
The generators. They found out it was a fuse, and they were told. All right. So the 49er, that particular stadium, had been going through renovations, and they were adding stuff. They failed to listen to the electrician when he said, "You need to upgrade the generators," and he said this so long ago, and so they had the game there, obviously, and the people, like it was just, the whole thing was chaotic. Players, and nobody knew what the fuck was going on. You had some flashlights, I guess, on the sidelines shining off to the field, and so the cameras, what cameras, I guess, were working. I don't know how there were some cameras working, but some weren't. I don't know how they had all the hooked up, but you see player walk around like fucking Daredevil, like he can't fucking see nothing, and the whole thing was just hilarious.
How long did they have a delay then? I mean, is it, and plus, what did it happen when they, because God forbid if they don't have a big dramatic halftime show nowadays?
I think it was delayed. I don't remember the length of time it was delayed, but it was still funny.
That is awesome.
It's like, I'm like, oh, it spawned some memes. It was like, God said game over.
Yeah. There's no winner this year.
No winner. Everybody loses.
Yeah. The missus said it was over 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was like, probably like, 40 minutes.
Hey, I'd say don't mess with the power structure. One of the other things I've noticed in college games, and I saw it, Alabama started it, but I think I've seen it with Tennessee and other places, is like they do the flashing lights around the strobe lights around the stadiums at the night games.
Yeah.
And I just don't like that. It's too just meh. But I'm an old fart anyway. I remember the first Georgia national championship. I'll talk more about that in a few weeks when it's Florida Georgia week, and we may end up spending our whole night that night talking nothing but Florida Georgia.
Oh,
if you're okay with that. I mean, if there's a big game or something that week, we'll have to talk about it. But I think I've got enough memories. You got enough memories. Like I said, that's when I might say the hell with it and take a chance and play a video. Might have to do it in 8-second increments or something. You probably know the damn video I'm talking about. You were not born though, but one of the greatest calls in Georgia history. Run, Lindsay, run.
Oh God, I hadn't seen that video in so long.
You know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I miss that guy. He was such a great announcer. So, but we'll talk more about Florida Georgia in the weeks coming up. So, all right. Hey, anything else you love with football you want to say that we haven't covered before we move on?
When NFL does the mics, the open mics, those videos are great.
Oh yeah.
I wish they could do that for college ball, because they think like, I have foul language. Oh my God. The amount of garbage that gets talked out on that field. It is.
Speaking of that, because that happens at all levels of sports. I always love when I go to a college event here. We have the conference want good sportsmanship, so refrain from blah 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 and bad language, blah blah. And I'm like, look, why don't you tell your players and coaches on the court? They're doing it the whole damn game, the whole field. You're worried about fans in the stands. It's like, geez.
Oh yeah,
that's crazy. Exactly. So, well, that's awesome. Like I said, can't wait to share some more Florida Georgia memories down the road. But with that, let's pop in to see where things stand after week 5 in the SEC. Actually, week 6 because Vanderbilt played the week before. But basically, we got no surprises, no changes. Alabama, LSU still top of the West. West. I had to do that one for you, Jen.
East. I thought you said West.
So Alabama is still 5-0. Ole Miss is 5-0. So we see what's happening here. It's showing up for the put in the matchups with LSU and Ole Miss against Alabama. I think Mississippi State is what they are, and Auburn. So and then A&M and Arkansas, I think pretty much out of it now.
Yeah, after those the last game they just had.
Yeah,
they're done.
And back in the East, we got Georgia and Tennessee still undefeated overall and in the conference. Kentucky, Vanderbilt's still fourth. How about that, folks? Vanderbilt's not less than the SEC East yet, and Florida, Scar, and Missouri trail up the end with no wins, 0-2 for all three. Looking down the road, these Tennessee Kentucky matchups going to be big. It's going to be in Knoxville, but Jen, I know you won't be here the week with Georgia Tennessee, and I'm going to tease it for Wade. Wade needs to be back on that November 5th show because I don't know if Georgia continues to struggle. I can see Tennessee with what they've got now and their team and improvement on defense could give Georgia problems. But I say that also with the understanding of historical experience, my friend, since I'm so much older than you. I've seen so many times when the up-and-comers, you could say Kentucky or Tennessee, they think they're right there. They're going to take down the big dog, because the big dog may have stumbled in a few games. But when they get together, meet the big dog shows who's boss. Whether it's Georgia, Alabama, doesn't matter, and that's a historical experience. So, but we'll see. That's for in a few weeks to go. Overall, in the AP top 25, Georgia fell one spot with that bad showing at Missouri. Even though they had more first place votes than Alabama in the AP poll, they were behind by 2 points overall. The SEC still has 7 teams remaining in the top 25. Tennessee and Ole Miss make the 3rd and 4th in the top 10. Kentucky fell to 13th with the loss at Ole Miss. Mississippi State comes in. LSU comes in now, both at 4-1. In the coaches poll, the same. It's almost the same, but LSU has not made an appearance. But Arkansas barely stayed in the top 25. Mississippi State still at 23. Kentucky in 13th, and then same over in the other side. Alabama, Georgia 1-2. Tennessee, Ole Miss 8-9. So still a lot of football to be played. Coming up, a lot of undefeated teams still, and things will shake out over the next few weeks. I'm going to back up one slide back to the AP real quick. Do you have any thoughts about this, Jen? Since you do watch college football, not just the SEC teams, any things of note that jump out at you with the current top 25?
Not really. It's listed as I expected to, but I don't. I would love to understand the decision making on when the season starts out. Bama is just automatically number one,
mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I'm sorry, who won the national championship last year?
Yeah,
and
returning all the team, yeah,
and so I find something in that area questionable, but Ohio State that's pretty normal. I mean, it's the normal top 5. Almost always. Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, Clemson. Now, with the exception, there used to be for a while like LSU instead of Michigan, but typically it's those teams, and then the rest of them they fluctuate back and forth. Like Tennessee, this is about as high as they get ranked. I think last year at one point they were like 4th, and then for like a week, and then it went downhill.
Bottom fell out, yeah.
And then but that's just what makes the game interesting is but the rest of them for like 12th to the 25th spot, it's pretty pretty normal. They might just interchange positions.
Except for one team. Look at number 19, Kansas.
What
what
the fuck is that?
Exactly. The team that could not win a game for 2 years and ended up firing Les Miles, and that was.
See what I mean with the rankings? Like that ain't
5-0. They're 5-0 and just now appeared. But hey,
at least top 10.
Well, hey, I tell you what, I think the people out there in Kansas are grateful for anything at this point there. Yeah. Oh, hey, and our friend Mark with his barbecue just chimed in again.
What do you do? What do you say?
It's Syracuse, number 22.
Get the fuck out.
Hey, Syracuse is 5-0 also. I mean, that's another one. Good point, Mark. Yeah, those are some teams you've not seen. I mean, they're historical powers, but they have not been in the last few years.
Yeah, like Kansas and Syracuse should be,
I think, basketball
top 15 at least.
Yeah, but you touched on a thing too. That's been a debate. As some people have said, they shouldn't even have a preseason poll. They shouldn't even start this poll to about the third or fourth week of the season.
Yeah,
actually base it on some real game results.
Yeah, like every stats when go into play, and like, all right, this team goes here, that team goes there.
Because one of the problems I've heard pointed out is, like a team like Michigan may lose 1 or 2 games, they may only fall to 11 and still stay up there. But then you got this little team trying to come up. They can't pass them because they're not one of the big schools. Just so there's some
not enough mommy and daddies put in money.
Exactly.
What it comes down to.
Well, there we go with the AP top 25. Oh, hold on, I went too fast. The coaches poll, Baylor's in there now. I'm talking Big 12 football tonight. I mean, where's one of my other people out there? So it's let's look at this one because Mark just said, son, go to the Syracuse Clemson game October 22. All right, because that is undefeated right now. That's in 2 weeks. Yep. We'll see what happens. See, Clemson is another story. Like I said, the big dogs hammer down the little guy. 2 weeks ago, Wake Forest, everybody on ESPN was picking Wake Forest to beat them, and it was a game at Wake Forest. Clemson struggled and all. What happened? Clemson beat the crap out of them. I mean, the offense for Clemson finally showed up, and they beat Wake Forest. So, I think there's a lot with historical experience when you look at some of these matchups. That's why I wouldn't worry. Like if I was Georgia or Alabama, you're going to be good in the long run. Yeah,
so. They're set. Well, that's what I'm like. I already feel bad in the future for whoever replaces Nick Saban when he retires, because that's like 10 years from now or so, and like you'll never fill those shoes. Yeah.
Look at Alabama. Look at Alabama. Bear Bryant when he died. They were fortunate to have Gene Stallings, who was an Alabama man who actually kept up the quality of winning. But after he retired, and then Bill, what's his name, took over. And then after that, it was like 10, 15 years, it was just trash. I mean, they were not to the Alabama standard. They fell off, and there was always the disgruntledness and unhappiness, because how do you replace a legend like that? I think that's really one of the few cases where I saw the next guy actually do something, actually hold it up. And it was Gene Stallings replacing Bear Bryant, so.
Yeah.
But hey, it's all something else. The politics in these schools, because like in Gainesville, the Gators, it's all in the shadow of Spurrier. So what he did as a player and a coach. So Georgia's, you've got it, Vince Dooley, but now you got a coach that won a national title. So he's going to make the next shadow for the next guy.
Yeah.
So, well, let's look at next week's matchups or tomorrow's matchups. We got a few interesting games here on the docket. I'm going to do a little rundown, and feel free to throw in as you want to, Jen. We got, and we'll hold off our picks till the next segment. So the first matchup is Texas A&M at number 2 Alabama. Well, actually number 1 Alabama. Alabama leads the series 11-3. Bama's longest win streak has been 8 games, 2013 to 2020. A&M won last year one time, so the longest for them's 1. In the first matchup, had to be in a bowl game, January 1, 1942. Bama won 29-21. In the last 10 matchups in the series, Bama has won 8 of 10. This year, Bama's 5-0 coming into the game with wins over Utah State, a squeaker on the road at Texas. Game easy wins over Louisiana Monroe and Vanderbilt at home, and then on the road at Arkansas. A&M comes in at 3-2 with wins over Sam Houston State, Miami Hurricanes, Arkansas, with losses to Appalachian State and on the road at Mississippi State. A&M won the game last year in College Station, and I think it was the first time a Saban assistant actually beat him, or it's the first time in a long time where a former assistant actually had beat him, because I know that that's a big focus with a lot of these pre-game stories is any of his former assistants that go up against him. So any thoughts with this one, Jen, that you got offhand?
No.
Okay. I this could have and should have been a bigger game, but I think with A&M's struggle of offense with 31 points against Sam Houston State at home, 14 against App State, losing 17 at home against Miami. You just the Arkansas game where they needed a defensive touchdown to get over 20 points and to win. I just think A&M is just in the struggles and the controversy, questions going out there. Just Bama at home, I just don't see A&M having the firepower. The talk is Bryce Young should be back though this week.
Yeah, Bama at home is unstoppable.
Yep. All right. Our next game is South Carolina at Kentucky, which is an interesting matchup. But South Carolina's on the road to face number 13 Kentucky. Carolina leads the series 18-14 to one tie. As I told people, if you're new, ties used to be around till the mid-90s when the rule was changed to bring in the tiebreaker, which results in a winner every matchup. Largest margin of victory for South Carolina is 54-3 in 2011. Kentucky's largest win was 41-18 back in 2020. The longest winning streaks in the series for South Carolina were 10 games between 2000 and 2009, and Kentucky more recently has won 5 in a row between 2014 and 2018. The first game in the series was played on November 6, 1937, where Kentucky won. And Kentucky has actually won 7 of the last 8 matchup games in the series recently. South Carolina comes in at 3-2 with wins over Georgia State. You're going to be impressed by this one, Jen. Wins over Georgia State, Charlotte, and South Carolina State. Losses against Arkansas and Georgia. And Kentucky comes in 4-1 with wins over Miami of Ohio, Florida, Youngstown State, Northern Illinois, and the loss last week on the road at Ole Miss. This really becomes an important game for Kentucky with the matchup against Tennessee on the road in 2 weeks. With one conference loss already, can't afford another loss here if you want to face Georgia with a chance to win the title. You got any thoughts on this one?
No.
It's really one of those matchups. It's just there's not a lot to it. You look at the series history, but I think the largest thing for this game is with Kentucky losing that game last week on the road at Ole Miss. If they want to, they've got to beat Tennessee in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
which means you can't lose this game. If they lose this game, then they're basically like Florida now and South Carolina. They're out of any consideration. Because Georgia is not going to. If Georgia loses one game in the conference, that's going to be a tall order this year. So you've got to go in facing Georgia with no more than one loss. If you want second place, and the thing is though, if they get a second loss, they may even fall third in the conference. Fall behind Tennessee, since Tennessee seems to be gelling right now. So, okay. Well, speaking of Tennessee, Tennessee at LSU is the next game that we've got. Number 8 Vols at the number 25 Tigers of LSU. Tennessee leads the all-time series 20 wins to 10 losses and 10 wins for LSU, 3 ties. The longest streak in the series for Tennessee has been 10 games from 1934 to 1959. Yes, 10 in a row, but they did not play every year back then at that time. Hence the 25-year span. LSU's longest streak's 5 in a row from 2016 to 2017. The reason that is 5 games is because the East-West matchups that are paired. In the SEC, there's the Eastern Division and the Western Division, like we showed earlier. East teams have one standard team from the West that they play every year, which is, like in Florida's case, is LSU. The other 2 rotate. So that's why you don't see 5 years for a 5-game streak for LSU. Here is because they're not the cross match automatic. In this case, Tennessee's match for every year in the West is Alabama. Reason, history. Your history dictates a lot of the things that happens. A lot of the matchups that still exist today. They try to keep those intact. So LSU, the largest margin for Tennessee's 28-0 in 1940. LSU won 38-7 in 2011. LSU has won 7 of the last 9 matchups, including, as what I said, 5 in a row. Guess when this first game was, Jen? It was played October 24th, 1925. I was not that old. I was not around. So, and it ended in a 0-0 tie. How about that?
Was Grandpa Dadman around?
Yeah, Grandpa Dadman. I think Grandpa Dadman was probably about 8 years old back then.
Oh wow.
No, that's great Grandpa Dadman. Yeah.
Oh, great Grandpa Dadman. Okay.
Yeah, so my grandpa, but yeah, the kid's great grandpa. Yeah. So 0-0 tie. So, and actually in that 5 in a row for LSU, they've won 3 of the last 5 games in Knoxville. Even though this game's played in LSU, I just thought that was an interesting fact that they had road success. Tennessee comes in 4-0 with wins over Ball State, Pitt, Akron, and the Gators. And LSU's 4-1 wins over Southern, Michigan State, Mississippi State, New Mexico, Auburn, and the loss at the beginning of the season against FSU with a block kick, PAT. So, you got any insight on this one? Any expectations out of this game?
No, game's pretty self-explanatory. I think it's going to go one way. I think it's just going to be
Yep.
Going to be one of them games.
Yep. All right. Well, we'll get through these others so we can get to the last one that's a highlight of the night. Arkansas at number 23, Mississippi State. Arkansas leads the series 18-13-1 tie. They won longest streak for Arkansas 6 from 99 to 2007. Mississippi State won 4 in a row from 2012 to 2015. Mississippi State's won 7 of the last 10. This first game in the series was in 1916. Yeah, Mississippi State won 21-7. Folks, some of these series go back a long, long, long time, and we've not even gotten to Georgia Auburn yet. So wait for it. Arkansas comes in 3-2 with wins over Cincinnati, South Carolina, and Mississippi State. Losses at A&M. Sorry, just that messed that one up. Losses to A&M and Alabama. That was Morehead State. I got Morehead State on the brain. No, Missouri State. Missouri State, a few weeks ago, Arkansas had a scare at home to Missouri State, and since then it's been downhill. Mississippi State's 4-1 with wins over Memphis, Arizona, Bowling Green, Texas A&M, and a loss to LSU. Mike Leach's air raid offense and going for it all the time. That's an interesting team. Arkansas has 2 conference losses in a row to Alabama and Texas A&M, which, like we talked about, the standings for other teams, those conference losses early, pretty much knock you out. So, any thoughts on Arkansas, Mississippi State? I think a couple of these other games probably are not really too noteworthy. But any thoughts on that game?
No, I mean,
other than cowbell.
No.
If you like cowbell.
Yeah, I just saw. I got distracted by that comment. I was like, what the fuck?
Hang around with us. Last week I had Ramlin Canuck on, and he talked about Canadian football and stuff. And it was really a treat to talk with him about the differences of American Canadian football.
It was. Yeah, each tackle is like he knocks him out. Oh, I'm sorry. That's okay.
Well,
no, on the nothing on the Arkansas Mississippi State game.
And sometimes these games lose their luster. Like Arkansas, this could have been a bigger game, but losing those two games really takes it off. This game may have more riding for Mississippi State than it does Arkansas. So,
yeah.
Well, let's go through the next two fairly quickly. We won't. I mean, Vanderbilt's Vanderbilt. I don't care. They're better than they've been in the past. But Ole Miss at Vanderbilt, we'll get our picks in a minute. But there's not a lot to say about it. But I mean, when you have a team like Vanderbilt, where generally they have more visiting fans at their games than they do home fans, you have to. I still try to figure why they're in the SEC. So, so we'll jump to Missouri, Florida for a moment, real quick. Missouri actually leads the series 6-5. Both have 2-game winning streaks, the longest before UF in 2015-16 and Missouri 13-14. The largest margins of victory were 40-14 in 2016 for the Gators and Missouri 42-13 in 2014. The first matchup of these two teams happened in the 1966 Sugar Bowl, where junior Steve Spurrier was the quarterback for the Gators. Missouri ended up winning the game 20-18, holding on a Gator rally late. But the series started becoming a regular matchup back in 2012 when Missouri moved to the SEC and was placed in the Eastern Division, which makes no geographical sense. But if you look at the teams, who else are you going to put there? So, but basically, this has become a very recent matchup, and it's one that, as a Gator fan, I hate because they should beat Missouri. Missouri shouldn't even be in the same league with them. But it has been a darn matchup that the Gators always struggle with these guys. So the Gators come in with wins over 3-2 with wins over Utah, South Florida, Eastern Washington, losses to Kentucky and Tennessee. Missouri 2-3 with wins over Louisiana Tech and Abilene Christian, losses to Kansas State, Auburn, and Georgia. But of note for Missouri could have easily been 4-1 possibly. In the last 2 games, they've had heartbreaking losses. Last week, we know that they just had to settle for 5 field goals and gave up that last Georgia touchdown with about 4 minutes left. And then the week before against Auburn, the running back Pete runs in overtime almost for a touchdown, but like his players do, where they have a first down, they just hold the ball, whatever. They go to stretch it out across the goal line. He loses control. Auburn recovers in the end zone. So Missouri could very easily be 4-1 right now. So it makes it wonder, will the Gators play down to the competition or will they play up? It's a noon kickoff tomorrow, which always the Gators struggle with. So, I hate this 12 o'clock kickoffs, but 3:30 or 7 are good. So, gosh. Okay. And then a lot of times it's the sunlight that kills me too. All right. To the big game that Jen, I know, loves. Auburn at Georgia. So we're going to get through this. And Auburn, Georgia leads the series 62-56 with 8 ties. The longest streak, Georgia won 9 in a row from 1923 to 1931. Auburn won 6 games from 1953 to 1958. The largest margin for Georgia is 41-0 back in 1946. And Auburn beat Georgia 44-0 in 1900. This series dates back all the way to 1892. The first game was played in February of all interest, February 20th of 1892, where Auburn won 10-0 in Atlanta, Georgia. Of note with how this series had played, in modern days, there's few neutral site games unless there's special rallies like the Texas-Oklahoma, Red River Shootout, Florida-Georgia, in Jacksonville. There's some still natural rivalry neutral games. Well, this was interesting because the first 10 games were played in Atlanta. The next 4, a lot of you people might not have heard of this town, but I know Jen has. The next 4 played in Macon, Georgia. Yeah, get this. Then it's even better, Jen. From 1916 through 1958, except for 2 times where the game was played in Athens, where the University of Georgia is. From 1916 to 1958, the game was played in Columbus, Georgia. Right on that Alabama-Georgia border. If it makes, but even then, that would be a longer drive for the Georgia. But then again, people didn't travel back then like that. But the whole concept of this game was played not at the schools for so long. The series did go home and home finally in 1959, where the teams alternated being the home team.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
what do you think about that, Jen?
I could see why back then they did that. It's like, hey, let's meet at the half point or somewhat half point, because it seems fair. But then the obvious, it probably changed for mostly for the obvious reasons of televising it, and because I don't think they started televising them till the 50s, the college games, and you just had them on the radio. So I won't say the first college game was televised in the 50s, and but there's a lot of history. Here in Georgia, they different people say Georgia's rival is Tech, Georgia Tech, or some will say Auburn, others will say Alabama, and even others will say Tennessee. But I think people just say Alabama and Tennessee because they're bordering Georgia. But I think Bama's rivals is everybody.
Yeah.
And Tennessee, in the past have made great games, but Auburn's been really more close to Georgia's primary rival, because Georgia steamrolls Georgia Tech, so that's not really a competition. But
they steamrolled Tennessee pretty good too.
Yeah. But there have been years that Tennessee have shown up and held their own. But this game makes for just an absolute solid game.
Yeah, because as a Florida fan, I would say Georgia is our big rival traditionally by most standards with most people. Although I tend to hate Tennessee as a rival more than I do Georgia, but it's interesting here to perspective from a Georgia fan that you find Auburn could be. One of the things with this game too, I don't like this game. Seemed to used to be played in November, like just before. Georgia Tech was always that week after Thanksgiving. And then Auburn was the week before. It just seems so strange with this game this early in October. But do you care when you play, or was there any type of attachment to the November date towards the end of the year?
I mean, it didn't really matter. I mean, I could see why November, because it was later in the season, and it was you knew it was going to be a good game. So they may have done it just to shake up rankings early on in the season, and because each team's figuring out like other teams' system and how they run things, so they probably do it just to mix things up.
Yeah. Well, this year, like they put for Florida, the Tennessee game became the fourth game instead of the third. It kind of was really funky that it was in a different week, but it didn't matter. So Tennessee still won, but okay. Georgia, but so where we stand is Georgia comes in 5-0 with wins over Oregon, Samford, South Carolina, Kentucky, and Missouri, which no, Kent State. I'm sorry, Kent State. That's when you have K&T twice, it's not good. But that was the other game. It seemed like that they struggled with Kent State last week by winning by less than 10 points, and then Missouri, and then the game against Samford. So Samford. That's where there's some danger signs, but but they also did trounce Oregon and South Carolina. So Auburn comes in at 3-2 with wins over Mercer, San Jose State, and Missouri, with losses against Penn State and LSU. So about this matchup, without saying your pick, do you have anything specific insight about the game itself, or shall we go ahead and go to the picks and explain our picks?
No, we can go to the picks. That's fine.
All righty. Well, on that note, folks, we're moving into our towards the end here now. Thank you. Let me stop real quick. Thank you, everybody that's come through. I hope everybody's read the banner before. We're both on YouTube and Twitch. Please like and subscribe over on the YouTube side. It'd be greatly appreciated. We're trying to get to 100 subs if we can, because Mark D with a C is on a mission to get me to 100 so I can get, I guess, a code or something, a link instead of a big long thing or something. I don't quite understand it, but the people know about it. But let's get to 100. Share the videos, share the channel out there, and we appreciate it and all the support. We've had a good crowd tonight. Thank you, everybody that's been here for a while. Also, we're on the Twitch side over there. You follow, since I'm not monetized, but follow us over there too. A lot of fun stuff. Either channel, each has its own advantages. So, thank you for being here. With that, let's go to our picks. Jen, I think you're up first with Tennessee, Alabama. Oh, well, hey, I blew it. Here's where we stand. I jumped the gun too early. Last week I was 6-1. Our guest Rambling Canuck was 3-4, who had a guest picker, people helping him. So he relied on outside help. But basically, overall, I'm 45-10, and our guests are 38-17. 7-game difference. So we'll see what happens in the next few weeks as we go. This week, Texas A&M, Alabama, and Jen picks Alabama. Is any particular reason, or just?
Oh, it's the obvious choice based on the performance of both teams in this season so far. Alabama should have no problems winning that game.
Yeah. And Mark, you can customize your channel handle. Okay. Yeah. Whatever that means, but thank you. You're the tech guy. I'll get help later for it. So
what he means, you see the link at the top of the search bar at the very
I don't have my YouTube on right now. That's the thing.
It'll say youtube.com.
Yeah.
The / you can change that to whatever you want.
Oh, okay.
Most cases people change it to their channel name.
Oh, is that so that you can start posting the same link every week instead of having to get the unique one to do every week? Oh, cool. Yeah, because I'm having to do the unique link everywhere. Yeah. Hey, we got 10 people out here watching. Wonderful. We love lurkers too. Lurk away if you're lurking, and thank you.
Maybe not.
I don't care. I'm an exhibitionist. I like people watching me, so I'm good. I have your name, Jen. I'm the kid that took a dare and urinated outside a church van one night because somebody dared me to do it because they wouldn't stop. I'm the kid that also went streaking down the street one night, and my mom's beauty shop. Yeah, forget clothes, running around with all the old ladies in there. It's hilarious. Yeah, exactly. So too much information, I'm sure, but it's all good for a laugh.
Dadman whooping.
Yeah. And I agree with Jen. Same reasons Alabama. I hate A&M. No offense. The only way that this could happen is if Alabama, if Bryce Young does not play, Bryce Young does not play, that backup quarterback comes in and performs like he does throwing the ball against Arkansas. A&M's defense is good enough. If you can get it to an ugly, dirty game, like old school smash mouth, low scoring in the trenches type game, A&M could pull off the upset with their defense, but I just think Alabama's got too much for them.
Yeah.
All right. South Carolina, Kentucky. Jen takes Kentucky. And I agree with Jen. So not much to say there. Unless Spencer Rattler does something and gets more dramatic like he was billed to be, I just don't see them doing much with the Wildcats. But I got a feeling that's going to be an ugly game to watch, though.
Yeah.
So Tennessee at LSU. Jen takes LSU. Any particular reason why LSU in this game?
Because of like performance, and I have a hunch that LSU is going to pull off the win on this one, because LSU in a lot of situations seems to pull off a win when least expected to.
How the heck is this a 12 o'clock kickoff?
Exactly. They put all the BS games on 12 o'clock.
I'm like, this is a matchup that should be at night, because, the thing with all the Cajuns down there and the party, and, the reputation for a night game in LSU.
Yeah, all the raging Cajuns.
Yeah, the drinking, liquoring up all day, and then the night game and the white uniforms, and it's just crazy.
Yes. I too pick LSU for purple and gold. They're my favorite colors.
I was not 16. I was much younger than that. Easy to spell. Hey, don't you sing this song? Oh no, it's silver and gold. Sorry.
Silver and gold.
Now you can change it to purple and gold. Oh, that's too funny.
Purple and gold.
All right, Jen. So guess who I took in this game?
Wade.
I hope Wade was still here, because I'm taking Tennessee. I am actually becoming sold on Tennessee as each week progresses, with their experience at quarterback, the improvement on defense, and Heupel's a good coach. He showed it at Central Florida, and he seems to be the real deal. He's had a good first year last year. They're on track this year.
I don't know. It's an away game. Tennessee seems to screw up on away games.
I agree. I understand that, but I got a thing for Tennessee right now, and if they can pull this game off in the next couple, I'm really interested to see what they'll do on the road in Athens. So, but for this week, I'm taking the Vols. Seeing old Rocky. The only thing with freaking Tennessee is that damn Rocky Top. God, I had to mute the TV. Although I do something the week they play Florida, I play Rocky Top like crazy just to get pissed off all the time. But God, it's like that song gets stuck in your head. I don't know which is worse, that or getting stuck on a bus with a bunch of West Virginia Mountaineer fans singing Country Roads, and they shouldn't be allowed to sing. I'll ask Tennessee if she's single. What the hell? All right.
TJ drunk.
Yeah, exactly. And then at Arkansas, you take the Pigs at Mississippi State, and I do too. I don't know. I just don't trust Mike Leach's offense and his coaching in certain games.
Mississippi State making too many errors. They're gonna. I don't think they're gonna win that one.
Yeah, I mean Arkansas is struggling, but you know what? I don't see them losing 3 SEC games in a row.
No,
even with the cowbells. All right,
they're going to go in there with more cowbells.
More cowbells. Not enough cowbells this week, so at least. All right. Well, probably our least favorite game to think of this week is Ole Miss versus Vanderbilt. So and yeah,
Vanderbilt. That's good.
Vanderbilt. Yeah. But
I love you said Vanderbilt.
Oh, that worked too. But a friend of mine always called it Vanderpelt because it got crushed all the time. So
yeah.
Oh gosh, look at it. I had a thing in terms of being a hot pick for a team, that type of thing. Yeah. Oh man, I got other chatters too that can go crazy too. So it's just CJ tonight. You take Ole Miss, and I agree with you. How can you take a team that's not won a conference game in over 2 years, and generally they have more road fans than they do home fans? So,
yeah, exactly.
All right. This next game, tell me what Missouri at Florida. Why did you go with Missouri?
Piss you off.
Folks, that's why Jen is here. And I tell you, come back in 3 weeks because we're going to have a fun, no holds barred Florida Georgia night. You ready for that one, Jen?
Oh yeah.
Oh God! Listen, I might actually lose the channel because of profanity filters that night. Maybe we never know.
Oh man.
I might be me cussing up a storm, Jen.
Yeah, you've been cussing more than me tonight. I've been behaving.
You've been great.
Yeah, give it a second when we start playing games here in a little bit. I'll be cussing away. But no, yeah, I picked Missouri originally before like really looking at Missouri like stats.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, I'm gonna pick the other team, whoever Florida's playing, just to do it. But when I sat there, I was like, yeah. I mean, Florida, yeah, Florida could pull off the win, sure. But yeah, I was just saying, like, because you look at previous weeks and see what errors they made in one game, and did they make those same errors in the next game?
Mm-hmm.
And there was occasionally just the same kind of mistakes being made for Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Not that they can't correct it for this coming game, obviously, but I was like, you know what, I'll just pick Missouri, and because I was just going to do it just to be a troll, but but hey, Florida wins, like, fantastic.
But I will say it's not a bad pick because like I said, 11 games, really only 10 in the modern era. They're split at 5-5. Florida has played historically shitty against Missouri on the road in Missouri, or even at home. Missouri's won a few games in Gainesville.
Yeah.
Even though that Florida, Anthony Richardson, they all got healthy last week, and they looked good against Tennessee. At least the offense. The defense is still weak, and they don't have depth. But at least the offense showed up against Tennessee. So they're positive signs for Florida. But again, playing down to your competition. This is the same team and quarterback that struggled. They needed a botched field goal snap to beat South Florida. They handed the game to Kentucky at home.
Yep.
Which team shows up. That's what I said, Jen. I picked Florida I picked Florida, Kentucky, and Tennessee in a three-way tie for second. I always said Florida was the wild card of the bunch because it depended on, one, how good the coach could, coming up from a lower league up to the SEC, and two, the quarterback. Would he be consistent? Good, that is. And he's been so inconsistent that you can't rely on it. I mean, the last couple of weeks, yeah, he was great against Tennessee, but if he'd have done that against Kentucky, they would have won that game, only had one conference loss. So this is not a bad pick because all the intangibles, and like I said earlier, a lot of these matchups come down to experience and history, recent history and past history.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Missouri. Like I said, 2 weeks ago, could have beaten Vanderbilt. Fumble out of the end zone, recovered by Auburn. Missouri could have beaten Auburn. Bad fumble, bad play. Auburn recovers, wins the game. Last week, they had the lead. They were up pretty sizably in the fourth quarter against Georgia. Lost the lead at the last 4 minutes. So I don't think you can just discount Missouri, but I'm going to be positive and think with the trends the last 2 weeks at quarterback, though, Florida's going to win this game and hopefully win it fairly comfortably. So anyway, that's what I have to say with that. And about the big game, your favorite of the day that's going to be here, I believe that's a 3:30 game.
Yes.
Yep. No surprise, Jen takes Georgia. Yep. And I got to tell you a story off screen. Maybe I can share it in a few weeks, but I need to get permission. So, go Auburn. Misses. Yeah, small. I wonder if Small Town Republic's still around. He's, good luck for him. He might, maybe Auburn can make it a little bit of a game, but
how dare you?
We just got to keep people happy. It's nothing worse when your team just sucks badly. And I like when Florida had some bad coaches, and when they lost to Georgia Southern at home. I mean, I got to where I quit even watching football. It was so bad. You want your team to at least to be something entertaining. But hey, but we agree on this game. How do you see it? Do you see it tight? What keys do you see to this game?
It's probably gonna be a tight game, but I feel Georgia's going to correct the errors that they made last week, and and realize, like, okay, they're gonna look at all of Auburn's gameplay and and study, like, all right, they they're weaker at this point, and let's let's do this and that, and I it'll be close, but I still think Georgia's going to pull it off.
Yeah. Well, Jen, I tell you what, I think that, like you said, Georgia will correct errors. They're at home, although that doesn't always matter, especially these rivalry
Oh
games.
yeah,
You never know what
yeah.
happens in a rivalry game. But I tend to think Georgia's looked bad the last 2 weeks against some very, and you might have cause for concern. But like I said earlier, when the big dog looks like they're down, is when they're the most dangerous, and they come back and really snap people into, surprise them. And honestly, I see a big Georgia win. I don't think this game's close. I think Auburn won't be able to move on that Georgia defense, because remember, Georgia still has one of the best defenses in the country, very stingy, and that's where I think Georgia's going to be able to, get a sizable win here because, at home they have their defense. Auburn's questions at quarterback remain. I just don't see it. I don't see it being a close game, but if I was a Georgia fan, I'd probably be worried. You feel like this game, like I feel like the Missouri game for Florida.
Yeah.
Is that statistically, numbers wise, we should beat the crap out of this other guy, but you really want to see it on the scoreboard because past experience sometimes shows that it gets tighter than you expect. So
right.
But hey, it's an awesome. That's what's the beauty of getting to go to those rivalry games are wonderful. I don't know if you've ever been able to attend a Georgia Auburn game, but I've attended a few Florida Georgia games, and it's just something when you play your hated rival. So and then Mrs. Blood, Georgia's going to complete freeze. Auburn. Oh man. Okay, I got to share this one just. But hey, that's cool. So, Jen, you got any last thoughts you want to wrap up with on the, any thoughts?
No,
you can plug yourself or anything.
No, I have nothing to plug. I don't do anything.
Except come out with crazy memes on Twitter.
Yeah, on Twitter, same handle, that Gen X guy. But no, that nothing to add for football. I mean, it's gonna be decent weekend for football. Hopefully some of the bigger teams don't show up on the struggle bus, but we'll see.
Absolutely, you never know. So, all right, well, Jen, thanks for being here. Appreciate you being on here. I'm just going to put you back in the back for just a moment. Stay around. I'll say goodbye. I'm just going to wrap up real quick here. Everybody say bye to Jen.
Bye, you.
All right. Well, hey, again, thanks for being here tonight. Now, remember, next Thursday night is our next show with another special guest that will be announced later. Join us then, Twitch and YouTube. I promise you this will be a very exciting show next week. Bye. You're getting a lot of buys now. Yes, I'll plug you too, Mark. I will plug you too a little bit later. So, but we do the late night Fortnite tonight. Join me and Mark D.C. over on his channel. He streams also on YouTube and Twitch. For about 12:30 tonight, we'll do a late night Fortnite and have a lot of fun with it. So, but join us next Thursday where we're going to have a very special guest that I can't wait to announce. This guest it's like very, very special to have this person on. Squeaka says bye. Bye, Squeaka. So here, get the show. You can follow us on Twitter, Dadman Walking 55. We made them all the same, so it's easy between Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. As I said, please get the word out. Share the streams. Please leave a like, sub on the YouTube side. Leave a like to the videos. On the Twitch side, follow us. We don't always just do football. We do some show and tell things where we show various things. Like this last Sunday, we showed off some Universal Monsters glasses and lunch boxes from our trip to Halloween Horror Nights last year. And I was in the gracious Purple Valkyrie came on the stream and talked with me on it. So check that out on the channel. We do some Fortnite streaming now that we started. So there's a mix of things now. So we're trying to diversify and get more content out there. But like I said, follow on Twitch, like and subscribe on YouTube. Let's get 100 so we can get that thingy done right that everybody tells me that I can't remember what the heck it is. So, and bye, CJ. CJ, I have you on for Fortnite. Fortnite is what you're good at. You're better at it, buddy. Love having you out there. And I tell you what, I'd be remiss to not thank CJ publicly either. CJ has made some really wonderful thumbnails and artwork for the channel lately. Our banners and some thumbnails for some of our shows. Go check him out. He's on Instagram. He's a wonderful guy. Does wonderful work. Yes, like Miss said, you are special and very big thing. So, but let's see. On that note, we will see you next time, everybody. Thank you again for everybody that came through the chat. Normally, I think a lot of people go down all the list of everybody. I know I'm not going to be able to get everybody, but I know Small Time Republic, you were here. Carol Cred Sox, you were here. UK Living, that was a new one, was here. Of course, CJ, Mrs. Dadman. I think I said Small Time Republic already. Real Wade Nation, if you hear this, you better get back for one of the Tennessee weeks. I might surprise you. Liam Grey Wolf, always a pleasure. The wonderful Squeaker Mouse was here. And hope I didn't miss anybody, but Mark D with a C. Yeah, Mr. Technical Guy. Our technical guy and our caterer, the official channel caterer. So on that night, everybody, I thought I said you. Anyway, I could not do anything about this without the wonderful, lovely, beautiful, talented Mrs. Dadman Walking, because everything you see here is what she made. All these graphics, in terms of the slide presentations here, she's made. So wonderful. Love you, honey. And thank you for all that you do here. And I said do. Thank you, Mark, too. And on that note, y'all have a good night. Enjoy the weekend. Hopefully tune in for college football this weekend and enjoy it. And we'll do a recaps over the weekends and join us next week where we can have another great night of talking football with a very special guest. Bye, everybody.